The story begins in ancient China, where there was a powerful king known as the Dragon Emperor. He mercilessly destroyed all the kingdoms and put his prisoners to work building the Great Wall of China. Despite all this power and glory, the king desired to become immortal. He sent General Ming to a sorceress who knew the secret to immortality. However, Ming fell in love with the sorceress, Sophia. When the king found out about this love, he killed Ming and also attacked Sophia with a knife. Then suddenly, the king felt sand falling from his eyes. Sophia began to groan in pain. Sophia cursed him, turning the king and his army into stone, where they remained for thousands of years. After this, we see Rick and his wife, Evelyn, in London, who used to search for priceless treasures around the world. Now retired and living an ordinary life, they are both unhappy because everything is boring. After some small talk, Evelyn said she was worried about Alex. I've sent him 3 letters, but haven't received a reply. Rick said Alex doesn't try to maintain a good relationship with them, whereas we don't say anything. Anyway, Alex had lied to his parents, saying he was at college and had come to China. He was currently trying to find the Dragon Emperor's tomb. There, Alex met his close friend, Professor Roger. They had been exploring here for several days. But then, suddenly, the Chinese laborers reached the gate during the excavation. Alex and his team blew up the door with a bomb and quickly entered. The creator of this place had laid many traps. With one wrong step, spiked walls began to close in on them from both sides. Treading very carefully, they moved forward. Suddenly, they found a skeleton, but as soon as they touched it, another trap was activated, causing pieces of the ceiling to fall. After parts of the ceiling fell, light started to come in, after which they saw thousands of stone soldiers, which was the king's army. Alex and his team were stunned to see all this, but by mistake, one of their men activated another trap in which 3 of Alex's companions were killed. Alex panicked, but Wilson said that we must keep moving forward, or their deaths will be in vain. Moving forward, they saw a compass that was pointing in the wrong direction. As soon as they set it in the right direction, the floor suddenly opened up. Alex suddenly fell into the dark pit, while Wilson clung to the edge. Alex was a bit panicked after falling. He began to look at the room very carefully. He saw skulls and bones everywhere. When he started looking around with the help of a flashlight, he saw a stone statue in the middle of the room, which was the Dragon Emperor himself, turned to stone. Alex immediately told Wilson about his discovery and was very happy. But when there was no response from Wilson above, Alex became worried. Then suddenly, an assassin attacked Alex. She tried to trap Alex in a closing door, but Alex propped an old vase to stop the door. After a brief struggle, the assassin's face was revealed, and it was a girl. Just then, Wilson arrived and started firing to save Alex. After which the attacker fled from there, and Alex was saved. Meanwhile, in England, an agent of Britain's Special Forces, Benjamin, met Rick and Evelyn and convinced them for one last mission. I know you are retired, but this job is very important. Their mission was to take an object called the Eye of Shangri-La to the Shanghai Museum in China. Initially, both of them refused, but after a little persuasion, they agreed. Upon reaching Shanghai, they met Evelyn's brother, Jonathan, who ran a nightclub there. Soon after, a man threw Alex out of the club's kitchen. Rick moved to save him, but recognized the man. His name is Mad Dog McGuire, and the 2 of them had worked together before. After this, Rick and Evelyn tried to talk to their son, Alex, but he started to distance himself. Alex angrily said that he didn't want to go back to college and then quickly left the club. After this, Evelyn took Rick to the roof and said, "You need to be kinder to our son. Being too strict won't help." They both decided that they would work on their relationship with Alex. The next day, General Yang, who is an army commander in China, heard that Rick had the Eye of Shangri-La, with the help of which General Yang was dreaming of resurrecting the Dragon Emperor. His dream was to make China very powerful by resurrecting the Dragon Emperor. In the evening, Alex started showing his parents the statue he had found. Seeing the Dragon Emperor's statue, Rick was happy and started praising his son. Alex went to find Professor Wilson, but felt someone was following him. When he became suspicious, he started following the man. Meanwhile, Wilson met with Rick and Evelyn, and they chatted like old friends. Rick showed him the Eye of Shangri-La and said, "I trust you completely. Give this to the museum people." But soon General Yang arrived there. Seeing him, Wilson's attitude completely changed. He pulled out a gun and pointed it at Rick, and said that the general had funded your son Alex's excavation because he wants to resurrect the king. Rick and Evelyn forbade him from doing any such thing. But Wilson started threatening, "In telling you, I'll shoot." At that moment, Alex saw the girl who had tried to kill him. She's alive, and her name is Lynn. At gunpoint, the general told Evelyn to read the incantation quickly. When Evelyn read the incantation written on the Eye of Shangri-La, the object suddenly began to change and transformed into a cup containing the elixir of life, which will bring the king back to life. General Yang told Wilson, "Now, shoot him, it doesn't matter." But just as Wilson was about to shoot, Alex and Lynn arrived and saved Rick. The whole family now began to fight the enemies together, but by mistake, the cup spilled, and the elixir fell on the king's statue. Lynn tried to kill the king before he came to life by attacking the skeleton in the chariot with a special dagger to the chest. The skeleton wasn't the king's. The king was trapped in the statue where the elixir fell. Now it began to rapidly come to life. Rick fired shots at it, but they had no effect. Later, his stone horses also started to come to life. Lynn and Alex clung to the bottom of the chariot. When the king started to flee, Rick, Evelyn, and Jonathan began to chase him in a truck full of fireworks. Rick launched a rocket at the king, but the king escaped, and the rocket hit a people-filled vehicle, causing a massive explosion. Evelyn brought the truck close to the king, and Rick seized the opportunity to jump onto a horse. Rick cut his horse's rope and told Alex to come with him from behind. But Alex was still not ready to accept his father's help. Meanwhile, the situation worsened. The king set fire to the fireworks in Evelyn's truck, and Rick's horse went out of control. Lynn and Alex tried to stop the king. During this, General Yang shot Lynn. Alex moved forward to save her, but suddenly slipped. He barely managed to survive by hanging on from behind. Then Lynn helped him and said that the bullet didn't hit me. But just then, Yang detached the chariot from the horses, causing their chariot to fly. The king used his power to turn the road into ice. Lynn and Alex couldn't hold onto their seats, crashing into the middle of a Chinese festival, where Rick and Evelyn were also present. Everyone managed to avoid colliding with each other. During this, the fireworks in Evelyn's truck went off, and Evelyn and her brother Jonathan jumped to save their lives. The king escaped, after which everyone stayed at Jonathan's nightclub. There, Lynn revealed about herself that she was from the king's own family. "We have been protecting the king's tomb for years." She explained that this king was very cruel and that no one should ever awaken him. Now, they somehow have to get the king to the portal of Shangri-La. This is the only way they can destroy him. She showed everyone a dagger with which they could kill the king forever. After which, they boarded a plane and after a stormy journey, reached the Himalayas. The path was dangerous, and at one point, they almost fell into a chasm, but they somehow saved their lives. McGuire informed them that General Yang had reached the mountain. Hearing this, Rick and the others decided to stay the night there. When night fell, everyone started to rest. Evelyn told Lynn that she thinks Alex likes her. "He's my son. I know him that much." When Alex entered the tent, Lynn asked, "Is there something like that?" To which Alex, pretending to be cool, said, No, are you crazy? Love and me with you. Lynn replied in the same tone, saying, "Yeah, I don't like you either." But there was no need to say, But looking at them, it was clear that something was going on between them. The next day, they all arrived at an old temple with a golden tower in the middle. As soon as Yang soldiers took their positions in front of the temple, firing started from both sides. During the battle, the Chinese soldiers used a rocket launcher, which caused significant damage to the temple. As the attacks continued, the temple structure weakened. Realizing this, Rick and his team began to retreat. Jonathan tried to light the bombs tied around the golden tower so that the king couldn't regain his full power, but he got caught in the crossfire and barely escaped. While running, his lighter fell into the snow and he couldn't light it. Rick and Evelyn saw Lin outside the temple, crying and speaking in a strange language. Meanwhile, the Chinese soldiers tried to take complete control of the temple. Then suddenly, 3 large creatures appeared from somewhere and started helping them fight the soldiers. Jonathan found his lighter again and finally lit the fuse. Those large creatures, along with Rick and his team, killed most of the soldiers. But the situation changed when the king came out, and with his power, he started pulling sharp spikes from the ground. The king used his magic to stop the burning fuse and scared the creatures away. The king climbed the golden tower and placed the Eye of Shangri-La. As soon as he did, a strange light shone, which pointed towards a specific location. Meanwhile, Alex prepared to attack the king with a stick of dynamite. But he didn't see that the king had thrown his sword at him. Just then, Rick jumped in, pushed his son to save him, but was injured by the sword himself. Because of this, Alex missed, and the dynamite explosion triggered an avalanche. A wave of snow started moving toward them. Then suddenly, those strange creatures returned and saved them. Everything was covered in large chunks of ice. The whole team then regrouped in one place. When they all found out that Rick was very close to death, Lin told them all to come with her quickly. Soon, they reached a cave where they met Sophia, who is still alive and is Lin's mother. Alex immediately understood that Lin and her mother were both immortal. Sophia told everyone to rest and began to treat Rick. Sophia explained that she had been living here ever since the Emperor stabbed her hundreds of years ago. At that time, these strange-looking creatures, also known as Yetis, saved her life. While Rick was being treated, Alex went to Lin and said that he was just trying to be cool before, but he really loves her. To this, Lin refused, saying, "Look, I don't want to be like my mother. She loved General Ming with all her heart and then mourned his death for centuries. You will grow old and die. What will I do without you?" Amidst all this, Jonathan announced that Rick had regained consciousness. When Alex went to see his father, he poured his heart out to him. He apologized to his father with all his love and respect, and said that from now on, he would prove to be a good son. Rick was shocked to see his son's new avatar. He said, No, it's my fault. I'm a bad dad." They both apologized to each other. Then Sophia also told Lin, "I will give up the burden of my immortality so that you can live a normal life." But then suddenly, the king attacked them with a fireball, which separated Lin and Sophia. After knocking both women to the ground, the king also snatched the dagger that was only weakness. Without that dagger, no one can kill him. Then the king entered the pool of divine water there to heal himself completely. From inside that pool, the king emerged as a 3-headed dragon. The terrifying fire coming out of its mouth illuminated the entire cave. To settle his old score with Sophia, the king kidnapped Lin and went to the place where his army is imprisoned. There he met General Yang. Meanwhile, Rick and his companions started chasing them in their airplane. When the king arrived there, he transformed back into a human and began to assure his army that they would rule the entire world. Rick and his companions hid behind distant rocks. Soon, Sophia reached an underground cave. She began to chant incantations to resurrect the king's old enemies buried within the Great Wall of China. To revive these people, she sacrificed her and Lin's immortal lives. Once the spell is complete, she will become a normal human. Suddenly, many skeletons emerged from the ground and ran towards the battlefield. Now they were ready to fight the king's army. Rick realized Alex wasn't there. Alex had disguised himself and infiltrated the Chinese soldiers. Soon, he rescued Lin, their captive. The king reached Sophia, who was standing on a small rock. Soon, a fierce battle broke out between them. Both were launching swift attacks on each other. By attacking Sophia, the king knocked her sword down and then stood with his sword at her throat. While grabbing his sword, Sophia saw that he had that special dagger. She deliberately moved forward and stealthily took the dagger. The king believed he had won and, drawing his sword, pushed Sophia off the cliff. Seeing the planes flying, he instantly transformed into a dragon and completely destroyed the plane. When Rick regrouped with the others, the king started moving towards an underground tube so that he could fully awaken his army. During this, Rick and his group saw Sophia, injured, dragging herself somewhere. Before they could chase the king, Sophia died in her daughter Lynn's arms. But before dying, she gave her the same dagger that is the king's weakness. While Lynn was mourning her mother's death, Alex and Rick picked up the dagger and started chasing the king. Alex reached there just before the king could resurrect his army. To fight him, the king once again took the form of a dragon. Rick jumped from behind and tried to stab the creature's heart. Meanwhile, the king threw Alex away. When Rick couldn't pierce the king's heart with the dagger, the king pulled out the dagger and attacked Rick with it. Fortunately, Rick was saved, but the dagger hit the wall, after which it broke into 2 pieces. Meanwhile, Lynn and Evelyn were fighting General Yang, who had somehow survived the bombs dropped by Jonathan. Soon, the 2 women together killed Yang. With that, a fierce battle began between the king and Rick. While they were fighting, Alex picked up a broken piece of the dagger and left a message for his father in the dirt. In the middle of his fight, Rick saw it and immediately understood what to do. He immediately picked up the other piece of the dagger, and as soon as he got the chance, he struck the king's heart. The king wasn't too scared because the dagger was broken. But just then, Alex jumped from behind and plunged the other piece of the dagger into the king's body, after which the king was engulfed in flames and perished. With the king's last breath, his army also perished. After this, everyone returned to Shanghai. In the end, we see Rick and Evelyn dancing together. Along with them, Alex and Lynn were also dancing together, meaning both couples are very happy together. If you liked the video, like it. Help us reach 1 million subscribers soon.